For those watching this on tape delay, this is the April 26th meeting of the Town of Stoughton Planning Board. We just had a motion to open the meeting and a second. And I guess I want to just announce that this meeting is being recorded by SMAC for voice and video. So guide your actions accordingly. I need a motion to open up
General business.
general business.
Motion to open general business.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ms. O'Toole?
The first item on general business is a zoning update, and I am going to pass out planning board discussion of zoning articles. And this, we're gonna, if you decide to sign it, we'll be signing one of them. This memorandum is just a planning board supporting Article 54, which we already did take a vote on supporting 54.
And you want to mention that this letter was reviewed by council?
Yes, this letter is to the town representatives, and because it was presented as a petitioned article by the chairman, Joe Scardino, I just wanted to check with council to make sure that we could use the letterhead and to make sure that the planning board members could sign this. And he said absolutely, because we already made a recommendation for this article. So what this is this just is a letter that's more comprehensive about the article and why the planning board is favoring the article.
No, you want us to sign, you're just gonna have one sheet signed, right? No,
Yes.
Yes, we'll
Yes.
make copies.
So we're gonna hold these, we're gonna keep,
You'll
Yeah,
so
sign.
the members are gonna hold these, the sheet then.
No, I'll hold the sheet, you'll just sign the sheet, and I can always make you a copy downstairs.
Oh, I
So you
see.
can just
All right,
sign
so in
one
other
and-
words, everybody's gonna sign their own sheet is what
No,
you get.
we're gonna have one sheet, we're gonna pass it down, and then what I can do downstairs and make a copy of the one sheet. I just
Okay.
wanted to give everybody the sheet if they wanted to take a look at the letter.
All right,
And when are you, it's still the town meeting room?
Great. So what this article is, it's members of the planning board to support and to approve Article 54. And what this article does is it allows the planning board to grant a special permit when a project is in the Stoughton Center Mixed Use Overlay District. And it merits a waiver of requirements containing in the zoning bylaw. And this is something that we had talked about at our previous planning board meeting, and we made a full unanimous recommendation of this vote. And what this does is this letter breaks it down a little better for town reps. And this letter will be distributed at the town meeting. And we're hoping that at the town meeting, which is May 7th, I requested that our zoning articles would be presented on May 9th because our consultant attorney is not available the following week, he'll be out of town. So I sent an email to the moderator so that we could be heard on the 9th. So this document would be given to the town meeting reps to explain Article 54, a little more comprehensive.
Do you have an extra water?
You know what, I don't, but I can get you one.
all right.
Yeah, I'll have yours.
I took a little sip out of it.
Oh, that's something. Will I die?
I don't think so.
All right, good.
I guess we should probably have well, I guess we, by signing your
Yeah, you sign.
agreeing to the
Right.
motion.
Yeah.
So we don't have a separate vote on this, but.
Are we gonna sign the original paper? Oh, Lynn.
You have one, I give an extra one, Maureen?
Yeah, I do. We need another one now then?
No, I got mine.
One to sign.
Yes, this one here.
Oh,
So if you want to start it,
sure.
do you want to start it, Lynn?
Sure.
Yep.
Black pen, doesn't matter.
Let's do blue.
Blue's fine, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
How's the wife doing?
All right.
Yeah, I definitely like
Oh, she's gonna be volunteering time at the
What I'll do
church.
is I'll make copies
Really?
for everybody.
She's gonna be counting money.
Money?
Billy? You are,
You know what, Dan,
Right
she's
here.
already spoken to Dan about it. Dan
Yeah.
can't make the meeting
do you have a
tonight.
pen?
Oh, okay.
He is in a hotel room.
Sick.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, I know what I have trouble with.
Yeah. You, right here. Yeah. It
Nothing
sounds like the
serious, but
flu or
it's-
something. He just didn't sound, he wanted to come up, I said, no. I said, take care of yourself. Okay, and here you are, Mike, right there, yeah.
I don't know. I just ate chocolate.
She's got
Oh.
to go.
I forgot, we were on TV while I'm eating that chocolate thing.
Well, I
Oh
don't
my
mind
God,
getting
my
this
love
one.
of
Huh?
She'll
I
kill
don't
you.
mind not getting this stuff, the one I
Yeah,
lost.
you don't get
I
hit
know
on that.
that's right.
Rain, not the
Yeah.
day that it rained heavy, but.
Right there you go.
The light
Yep.
rain the other day, just don't take.
Things like getting green in there. Yeah, it's nice.
They're good.
You can see it starting.
They're gonna come back and reseed, so some of the seed,
Yeah.
it's starting to.
Thanks,
I
Mike.
just found out I'm
Yeah,
up
you
for
can see it
re-election.
faintly.
Yes, you are.
I mean, it's-
But they
it's
haven't advertised
continue
it
to
yet.
grow, but,
June.
come
Just-
back and just make sure, 'cause
What you
some
did for me
areas
last
around
year,
that,
right on the paper and
Yeah, yeah.
outside,
Really
please.
rework
Thank
that.
you.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know the kind of recreation's money?
Yeah.
They did. There's only one
Okay,
person
thank
in there
you.
working.
I'm gonna move on to, general business, item
shame.
3B. That's the Master Plan Implementation Committee. We are meeting on Monday, Billy, Monday, the 30th.
This coming, oh, this
The
coming Monday?
Implementation Committee,
Yeah, whether you have a golf date?
yeah, we're meeting, at 6:30
Where?
on April 20th downstairs. No, here, here, Utanis, here, April 30th.
I think we-
Did I say the
yeah.
20th?
That's a Freudian slip.
April 30th. I wonder what's happening on the 20th.
The 30th is,
I
it's
think
on a
you're
Monday.
thinking of the Board of Selectmen meeting on April 31st.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Okay, so April 30th, which is a Monday, next Monday, 6:30. And our agenda is online, but just so that if anyone wants to attend, the procurement officer is giving a presentation about the high school and the library, just to explain to the group the process. And then we're gonna talk about all of the goals that, through the matrix of what has been accomplished since the inception of the master plan. So that should be good. The next item is future meeting dates, and we already did May at our last meeting, so just to let you know, the next one is on May 10th. Alrighty. And the last item, D, if anyone had an opportunity to look at the minutes for March 22nd, 2018.
I have not, I don't know about anybody else, but,
I think it's 7 online.
Never
Yeah.
looked at 'em either.
so would you put those on the meeting for next?
On the 10th?
Yes.
Okay, I'll bring those over.
Thank you.
May 10th.
And I think that completes
That
item 3.
completes general business.
Okay. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on
Motion,
Stoughton Commerce Center LLC?
motion to open,
Second.
Commerce Center, LLC, whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would the applicant and/or his representative come forward?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Attorney Barry R. Crimmins of 909 Washington Street in Stoughton, here on behalf of the applicant, Stoughton Commerce Center LLC. Just real quickly, this matter actually, I think we were on 2 weeks ago, and we requested a continuance to tonight's meeting to address some of the comments from Mr. Horsfall's first technical review memo. Nicole Dunphy from High Point Engineering had submitted revised plans to Craig with responses, and then Craig issued his second memo, and we've just submitted our responses to that today. The other thing that just came in today was the traffic peer review report from GPI, the town's traffic consultant. So I don't think anyone has, whether they've seen it, they probably haven't had a chance to review it. So, Mr. Chairman, that's my long-winded explanation for
Thank you.
that we're going to request a continuance of that hearing, or tonight's hearing, to your next meeting on May 10th at 6:30 PM.
Thank you.
I would have got this up to you earlier, but with the computer issues this afternoon in my office, it's been like Murphy's Law this afternoon, and me being left to my own devices without any technical assistance, we had a little trouble getting this to print. But in any event,
Not an issue, Mr. Crimmins.
thank you.
If, I'm gonna be a bit presumptuous, but I'm gonna ask for a motion to continue if you want more time, or you have questions for Mr.
I'll make the motion to continue, what date do you
May
want?
10th.
May 10th.
6:30?
6:30?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
Great, thank you.
motion closed?
Did you vote on the extension? You did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Thank you.
And because we can't take up the next matter until 7
7
o'clock, right?
o'clock.
Yeah,
It's-
so
I have 10
I
on.
know my client is here, so I'll go
Yeah.
talk to them and we'll come back in at 7.
Mr. Stankiewicz, I think what we will do is, we have nothing
Take a
else.
break?
Yes.
Motion to take a break.
Actually, hopefully, I'm gonna try to take a look at the minutes during the break and see if we can accomplish something.
Okay. We're
Mr.
gonna take a break?
Stankiewicz, we're gonna be taking a break until 7 PM when our hearing starts, next hearing starts.
15 minutes?
To May 10th at 6:30, Barry. Okay?
Right, thank you.
Second, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We're back on the record. This is the April 26th meeting of the Stoughton Planning Board. Since we have more people in the room, I just want to remind everybody here that this, for your information, this hearing is being recorded both audio and video on our Stoughton Media Access Corporation video system. Can I have a motion to open up our 7 PM hearing, BJ's, on the petition of BJ's Wholesale Club?
Motion to open, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is the first hearing, so
Yeah,
we need to
correct.
read the notice, okay? A public hearing will be held in the Town Hall Utanus Room, 3rd floor, 10 Pearl Street, Stoughton, Mass. On Thursday, April 26, 2018, at 7 PM, on the petition of BJ's Wholesale Club Incorporated, with an address of 25 Research Drive, Westboro, Massachusetts, 01581, represented by Attorney Barry R. Cremens, 909 Washington Street, Stoughton, Massachusetts, for site plan approval under section 10.6, site plan approval of the Town of Stoughton zoning bylaw of November 18th, 2015, a special permit under section 3.1.4, table of use regulations, principal uses, section D, retail, trade, and restaurant. Item number 5, all other drive-in or drive-through facilities, providing the principal use is allowed, and certain special permits under section 6.2.7, special permit regarding the requirements in section 6.2.5, signs permitted in the Highway Access Business District, also known as the HB District. At items 2 and 3 and section 6.2.6, additional sign requirements. At item 5, for the construction of the proposed BJ's Wholesale Club self-service gas station to be located at the existing BJ's Wholesale Club at 901 Technology Center Drive, further identified in Assessor's Plan number 104, lot number 1. The site plan application and the special permit can be viewed at the office of the Stoughton Planning Board, located in the Engineering Department, Town of Stoughton, Town Hall, 10 Pearl Street, Stoughton, Mass, during normal business hours. The petitioner and/or his representative or any other persons desiring to be heard in this matter should appear at the time and place designated. Town of Stoughton Planning Board Chairman Joseph Scardino, published in the Stoughton Journal issues of March 30th and April 6th, 2018. With the applicant and/or his representative, please identify yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Attorney Barry R. Cremens of 909 Washington Street in Stoughton, here on behalf of BJ's Wholesale Club, Inc. The proposal that's before you for site plan approval is in order to allow BJ's to have a self-service gasoline station. We'll be speaking about that tonight, but what I want to briefly update the board on is you're all familiar with the site, so I certainly don't have to go through a lot on that. As you can imagine, BJ's Wholesale Club, because of the size of the facility, received a special permit several years ago when it first came into town as a planned business development. Planned business developments typically are used for one of two purposes. The matter that was just before you a moment ago that we continued is an example of a planned business development where there's more than one building on a lot. The other example of a planned business development is when the size of the building exceeds a certain square footage and gross floor area, and that was the case of the BJ's Wholesale Club. BJ's more recently has gone to adding gasoline stations to their facilities, whether on the same site as a store or in some cases where that was not practical or feasible, at off-site locations. This would be on-site in an area that, again, we can get into the specifics in a moment. Before I go too far, I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce the members of our project team who are here with me this evening. Mr. Nelson Cabral is with BJ's Wholesale Club. Mr. Jim Bernardini is our project engineer with Bowler Engineering, and Ms. Leslie Fanger is the senior landscape architect, also with Bowler Engineering. As I mentioned, we received a modification to the special permit for the planned business development from the Zoning Board of Appeals. I think I either submitted that with my application, or I may have forwarded that more recently to you, just so you folks would have that. Somewhat similar to the last case, Craig, as we've been discussing with all his other tasks, did his technical review memo. He was good enough to forward it to us, as he always does. Forwarded it along to Jim, and Jim, I think, has already reached out to Craig to start working through some of the comments in that letter. So we're not expecting, obviously, to close the public hearing this evening, but we did want to make a presentation to the board, introduce the case to you, hear questions, comments, concerns from you, so that as we go back and work through the issues with Craig, we can address any questions or concerns that the members may have as well. If you have the sign plan package, perhaps that I submitted, it might be the simplest reference point.
Next one.
I think Noreen's going to
I have
pass those out now.
I have them.
In that it has sort of that aerial view that you see up on the large board there that Jim has put up for us. It also, on the next page, has a bit of the site plan, again, from an aerial perspective, showing the proposed gasoline pumps. This is a self-service gasoline station, 6 pumps, so 12 fueling stations. With the canopy, with the signage on the canopy, as you see in this plan, as well as a monument sign that, once again, Jim will go through as part of his presentation. We will, assuming this board sees fit to issue approval for the site plan, our next and then final permit will be to go before the Board of Selectmen in conjunction with the fire department for approval for the underground storage tanks for the fuel storage. I believe I also forwarded through the town planner a copy of an email that was sent from Deputy Fire Chief Scott Breen to Mr. McGrath when we were in the process of appearing before the zoning board, indicating that we had met with both Deputy Breen as well as Chief Larissy. And I believe in Scott's email, he indicates that they had no objections to our application. But not to get too far ahead of ourselves, let me introduce Jim Bernardini, our project engineer from Bowler, who will talk about the site and what we're proposing to do.
Thank you. For the record, Jim Bernardino with Bowler Engineering.
Sorry, Jim.
It's okay. 352.
I haven't thought about that tonight on the way up here.
It's okay. Not the first time.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you're all very familiar with the site. I'll just give you a very quick locus. Obviously, the project's at 901 Technology Center Avenue, and from the north coming down Technology. This is Route 24 running north and south, so north's actually facing me. So BJ's is on the east side. Just to the north of the site, we have the trio of the furniture stores, the Bob's, the Lazy Boy, and Bassett.
Yes.
And then obviously to the east, we do have the larger development of the Amazon. The site access that, as we currently have, is via two points. We do have an independent driveway off of Technology Drive, entering the BJ's parcel, where we have multiple connection points into the parking facility. And we also have a other drive from Page Road up to Reebok, and we have a spur off of Reebok coming into the project site. I just wanted to highlight that to you because during our preliminary discussions with some staff members, it came to our attention that obviously this serves as a cut through sometimes, quite a bit of times. So we took that to heart with our designs and tried to come up with something to mitigate when you come into the site, you got a straight shot across, many lanes of traffic, straight up and coming out. So we try to mitigate that, so keep that in mind. I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. So as we did mention, we're looking at a proposed gas facility that's going to be located on the southern side of the existing parking lot. Take a look at an overall site plan. Obviously, the existing BJ's. We're looking at the installation of a proposed 6 MPDs, multiple product dispensers, with 12 fueling stations located at the southern end of the site. This encompasses approximately 139 of the existing parking spaces. So what we did was, as a result of that, we looked at what is the existing requirements of the facility itself. Obviously, we did a parking analysis, and the existing spaces on site are 609, which is in excess of the minimum requirements. The minimum requirement is 406. So at the end of the day, we're proposing 470 spaces as a result. So we still have 64 excess parking spaces as it relates to the existing facility, even though we're taking away a fair amount of parking. Just to talk about the site access one other time before I dive into the component that we're really here to talk about tonight. Obviously, we have an access from Page Road where
Page Street.
Page Street, I apologize, Page
It's okay.
Street. We're coming up, and previously, without this development, we just had a sea of asphalt where cars were able to take a nice straight shot through. So we're softening and mitigating by proposing some impact mitigation techniques. We're going to be installing a couple of speed bumps. Obviously, we're going to have drive aisles that basically channel the traffic flow. We're going to have wayfinding signage so that people can obviously find their way to the gas station coming from either side of the site. Another component that was implemented in the site plan as well to help soften traffic concerns and internal site circulation was right at the entrance of the existing facility. We have a parking area that has a very wide, expansive paving area where there's really no rhyme or reason. You know, drive aisles are usually 24 feet wide. We have about 60 feet of pavement. So what we're doing is we're taking this opportunity to square this off and make it more of a traditional parking field, enhancing the landscaped area up front. So we're actually losing a couple parking spaces here, but gaining quite a bit of green space. So that in itself helps control the traffic traversing the site. And likewise, throughout the property, we also have wayfinding signs, so vehicles that are intentionally coming here for gas will be able to come down the main drive aisle and traverse the site easily to get to their destination, which will be the gas. So,
If I may just add, Jim, we also met with Chief McNamara to review this, and I think she submitted a memo and she's asked us to make one modification, I think, to extend one of the speed bumps, which we're certainly more than happy to do. And she's also asked about the installation of some updated security cameras. And Nelson, correct me if I'm wrong, you've already been in discussions with the
Yeah,
board.
there was a couple of things that we had met Chief McNamara a while ago, and she actually put us in contact with Sergeant Carmichael. And in addition to some security cameras and things like addressing some comments on speed bumps, there was it was brought to our attention that there was some dead spots, if you will, with their frequency in terms of how they communicate. And apparently our store sits in one of these dead spots, and so we had our asset protection folks get in touch with Sergeant Carmichael. They reached out to a vendor. They've gone out there and done some surveys to figure out what equipment would be needed, and we're working with Sergeant Carmichael directly to basically improve that situation for the area of the club and the surrounding neighborhood. So, so far that I think has been going well.
Yeah, great, thank you. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
that's fine. Continue on, I'll come into a zoomed in site plan. A little bit of a closer view to the proposed parking area. Just to talk about the circulation before we dive into anything else one more time. Obviously, we're going to be coming in, we're going to have a one-way access in to the property, to the fueling station, with obviously going into the western direction. Everything would be going one way with one directional out, with an exit only here. We do have two-way circulation, so we can come in and, few vehicles that end up delivering can traverse out.
I'm not sure if I mentioned my introductory comments, excuse me again, Jim. This is going to be a members-only station. This is not for the public. This is for BJ's members only. So, we wouldn't anticipate necessarily folks going up there solely for gas. It's intended to be an added benefit to the BJ's customers who are already on site and therefore either on their way in or their way out can stop and refuel their vehicles.
Very good. Thank you. Again, obviously, we are proposing a very small kiosk which will be manned during the open times and operations of the fueling station. So the hours of operation are strictly a self-service operation, but the times in which the facility will be open, there will be a tenant available at that spot. There's no merchandise being sold out of this kiosk, but they will provide memberships. If someone needs to, hey, your membership expires in 30 days, they're able to come up here and do a quick renewal rather than going into the store. Small kiosk, which will be located under a canopy. Obviously that'll shield from the weather for the proposed customers, and we'll also have a concrete pad in which all the infrastructure will be set on. We're proposing 3 underground storage tanks, 2 20,000-gallon fuel storage tanks, which will be regular gas. We'll have 1 24,000-gallon tank underground, which will be split, 12,000 premium, 12,000 diesel. We will have 2 locations in which diesel will be dispensed on the site. We do have a screened trash enclosure for any refuse that obviously will be generated on the site. The property will also be backed up by an emergency generator for power outages and the like. We have developed a comprehensive landscaping plan with planting details and the like, not only for the direct area in question around the facility, but we also took the opportunity to enhance the landscape bed down the main access drive through here. So there will be a number of beds with some shrubs, some perennial plantings. We have our landscape architect here this evening to kind of get in more detail with that when questions come arise. But with that enhancement, we provided other details as well. We provided a detailed lighting plan that's consistent with the surrounding plaza. We've also developed a stormwater collection and conveyance system, which provides an extra step of water quality treatment, which the site presently doesn't have. We're implementing a number of water quality treatment units on the site, as well as an operation and maintenance plan, which will be continued and coordinated with the engineering department as we progress. We've also put together a comprehensive detailing of construction methods. During construction, we have erosion sediment control measures that are implemented in the plan, as well as construction details, so that as the project moves forward, there's a clear defined on how this is actually going to be built. With that, that's kind of the proposal in a nutshell. Obviously, we have BJ's here for operationals. We have our landscape architect. We have our the whole team here. So just at this point, if you don't have anything else to add, Barry, we can open it up to the board for
No, I
review.
guess the only thing I would like to also provide the members with, because we were a tad tardy in getting these into you. Let me just make sure, if I may, Mr. Chairman, there was a request for elevations of the canopy, so we have those for you as well. Pretty.
At the time at which they become final, would you have a full-size
Sure,
for the record?
absolutely.
Thank you. I believe in order of questions, I actually would like to hear from Mr. Horsfeld, the town engineer, first, before we open it up for questions. Unless the landscape architect wanted to speak, I do have questions when my opportunity comes, so I'm going to give you ample opportunity to present, discuss the landscaping at that point. But I think that it's apropos we hear from the town engineer. Mr. Horsfeld, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Craig Horsfall, the interim town engineer. And we performed a technical engineering review of this application. And would like to go through some of the comments. I'd like to point out that the applicant did meet with us, I think twice before we actually had a submission. So there were a couple of different layouts that we looked at, and this layout that they've presented tonight is one that we arrived at based on those two meetings.
In fact, we actually spun the orientation of the pumps as a result of the meeting with Craig and Noreen. So there's been quite a bit of back and forth, which we certainly appreciate.
I think those meetings were time well spent. I do, however, have some concerns of how larger vehicles will traverse the site. My technical memo, my first comment is requesting a truck turning diagram from the engineer. I guess we'd like to see how the trucks are gonna make their way through the site. You have loading facilities at the back of the building, which some of these turning radii, I know they're already using them now, obviously. But as you tighten some of these areas up, we wanna make sure that you're not introducing any problems. So we'd like to see how the loading areas will be accessed. And one of the other things I'd like to see is how will they make their way through this back parking lot? I think I've kind of spelled out in my own mind which direction they'll take, but I'd like to see what will happen with the
Yeah,
trucks.
we can provide that. That was evaluated during the design phase because obviously the big component is.
Excuse me. Keep it quiet, please.
Keep it down. Obviously, we'll provide an example showing what it's anticipating. Now, that's the big aspect. We will have routine deliveries, so we made sure that it was available, so we can easily provide that documentation.
Okay, yeah, particularly, so you have your fuel trucks going into your tanks, and then we'd like to see how they circulate through and exit that area. And also probably a diagram of the largest vehicle that you think will go through the diesel pumps and so forth. I know that you're not intending to service the general public, it's gonna be members only. But we wanna be clear that you're not intending to service tractor
delivery
trailers.
trucks.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
And I wanna be sure that there's ample signage that that's not the intent, that it is
Right.
members only and the trucks aren't.
I think we've probably spoke about this at one of those meetings. Although we have the diesel dispensing component, typically the larger tractor trailers are looking for facilities that have what's referred to as high-speed dispensing, because they're filling up more than just your typical 15-gallon tank. So we're not really geared to that. In situations where we think it might be an issue, and this would potentially be one because there is a sizable trucking operation happening, basically next door, we will sign somewhere on the canopy that we're restricting semi-trailers or something along those lines. The fact of the matter is, if someone, even if our trucks were trying to get through there, they would quickly realize that this isn't the facility for them. But it's a fair point. We don't want it any more than you do, actually, because it just complicates things for us.
Right, so I think the signage restricting the trucks is a great idea. There's nothing preventing a truck driver from getting membership, and now he's a member.
Right. Well, a lot of times we get the concern that, our truck deliveries for the store are now using the gas station. And that's, ever since we've added the diesel component to the fueling facility, that's something that's come up on a regular basis. So it's not, it's a fair concern. It's just something that we're not really geared to serving that customer. And sometimes you do have to sort of communicate it and be transparent about it to avoid that.
Thank you. So that pretty much covered my first three comments. The fourth comment I have is the planning board should consider whether or not concrete curbing is appropriate for the site. The planning board typically requires vertical granite curbing, so that should be a point of discussion.
Granted.
Should that be granted?
Granted. No discussion.
And we can talk about the contact points where it transitions. In other words, we're not gonna require you to take the whole site and do it. There are parts you're changing some of the islands, and so in those areas we require using VGC.
Comment number 5 is the additional speed hump, which was recommended by the police department. We agree with that comment. I'm not going to read through every comment. Some of them are rather benign. One sign I would like to see is at the island just north of the proposed, yeah, that island there. At the end of this island here, so as at the two-way entrance. I'd like to see a sign there that says BJ's Gas, no through traffic, just so people don't think that that's the way to get through the site. We want to channelize them out and around, and I can see that maybe being a point of confusion. I'll speak over my erosion control notes and things like that. We need a dumpster detail on the plan that specifies white vinyl PVC for the entire enclosure.
And along those lines, if your dumpster is 8 feet, they're now making these, they have an arch to them so that the old-fashioned ones were like this, and now they're like this. And to make sure that the entire dumpster is obscured, that's the purpose of the fencing. What we've been finding earlier on is we don't talk about the relationship with the dumpster to the fence.
Right.
It defeats the purpose of having the enclosure when the thing sticks up about 2 feet above the enclosure, so.
Let's just make sure whatever we specify for a dumpster is covered.
Yeah, it'll be at least a minimum of a 6-foot-high screen fence.
Right, well, I think what we need to do is make sure that the dumpster isn't 6.5 feet.
The kiosk will be serviced by a water service and a sewer service, which will be a E1
Ejector pump, yes.
ejector pump with a low-pressure sewer tie-in to the existing low-pressure sewer out in the easement. We're going to need some sizing calculations for that. I realize the floor is rather small, but we'd like to get that on the plan. Eventually, you'll need a sewer connection permit with the engineering department and the applicable fees and so forth. Since that low-pressure sewer ties into the existing low-pressure sewer within the easement, there's a legal agreement that you'll need to submit that gives you the rights to tie into that. We did something similar with the storage facility.
Okay, so you have a sample of that?
We do.
Okay, good, thanks.
Stormwater management, so you've got a couple of water quality units. We need a detail for the inlet style storm scepter added to the plans. And since the underground storage tanks and the fueling stations are so close to that detention basin, the outlets for that structure should be fitted with some sort of isolation mechanism. I'm not quite sure what that will be, but something that can close off the discharge from that pond.
Yeah, sometimes there's a mechanical valve they can put in there.
Yeah, there's a number of different ways to get it done. There's 2 locations that I think we need it. There's an 8-inch outlet pipe on the lower end of the detention pond. That's within the detention pond, and then the other trunk line that picks up the driveway drainage. As was mentioned earlier, we were requesting architectural plans for the kiosk and the fuel pump canopy, as well as when you're ready, as to be the next phase, the underground storage tanks and everything. All those plans will come to us for review. And I think that is most of the comments that are worth mentioning.
And I think I can safely add that none of which we're anticipating any issues with.
I think Jim's gone through the memo, we briefly touched base on it. Didn't appear that there was anything that we think could.
One other thing I'd like to mention too is that the fact that you are going with a members-only service station at this point, we're in agreement with the waiver for the traffic analysis. If in the future you ever went to general public service, we would then want the traffic analysis and further review.
Thank you, Mr.
Actually,
Horst.
I'm sorry, just Also, just so you're aware, we do, on that proposed monument sign, I do believe it does indicate a member's price. Sometimes we've added the word only to it.
That's a pretty good idea. I
Just to
think
further
that's
deter,
people making the trip all the way in and being disappointed
right.
that they can't get gas.
Well,
I know it would be
they
a
can
point
also- they can
to
also get
join,
membership.
yes. I knew that was coming.
If they're really disappointed.
Are pumps only activated with the membership card?
That's how you activate the pump, right? So you swipe your membership card. And if, a lot of times, this happens to me, my card is worn out. If I go to activate a pump, a lot of times it doesn't. And the attendant will see that I'm swiping and swiping. That's what they're there. They're there to observe what's going on, to assist customers who are having trouble activating the pump or using the pump, cash transactions.
Thank you, Mr. Horsfeld. Mr. Samarco, I believe you had your hand up.
Yes. How many cars can park in that, get gas?
So there's 6 pumps, so 12, am I counting the diesel in that, Jim?
Yeah.
Yes,
Total,
you
total
got
12 fueling stations, or,
Correct.
okay.
So there's 12 fueling stations, so 12 cars, and then we have over 50, approximately 60 feet and change of additional queuing spaces. So you can easily fit 2 cars and a little bypass lane behind it at each pump for queuing.
Now, will you have like trash containers in between these pumps?
Yes, there will be.
All right, I just went there today. Going out of coming into the complex and going out. You mentioned, what did you have under there that contained something? A lot of traffic will be going over.
Speed bump, here, speed bump.
Oh, speed bump?
Oh, these speed bumps?
Yeah, is that a speed bump? No, go back.
This is speed bump here.
All right.
This is a controlled stop. We have stop signs and do not enter signs because we're channeling everyone just to exit this one particular point with no in traffic.
Where the other speed bump is, how many cars can go over that? One coming this way, just 2 cars?
Nope, it's the full width of the traveled lane. So each car, there's a car you can do each direction. So it's 24 feet wide.
So you get 2 cars.
So you get 2 cars.
Station for that.
You're gonna plant trees next to that speed bump, am I correct?
Yeah, there's a landscape island in here.
Anything else, Mr. Samarco? I want to move to Mr. You're free to come back if you think of
I
something
know
else.
that, I'm free anyway, but go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Angelus, you
Yeah,
have your hand
this
up.
is for Barry, I got one for him. When you plan on going to conservation?
We are not,
Why not?
we don't need to.
That's all wetlands up there. isn't it?
We're outside.
Yeah, pardon me?
We're outside of the buffer. Keep in mind, this is already an existing paved area.
I know.
We're not increasing any impervious surface. We're working within our existing parking lot, but regardless, we're outside of any, there are a lot of wetlands
Yeah,
up
yeah,
in
you
the
get
park
Bear
in general.
Brook- You get Bear Brook up there.
Right, but we are entirely outside of any wetland resource area.
Anything else, Mr. Angelus?
He was talking about sewer connections, regulars.
Yes.
Now, is that for the tenants,
Yes.
who's gonna be at?
Yeah, so the kiosk, right, obviously we have someone there manning their shift, so there'll
Yeah.
be a toilet with the sink as well as,
That's all there is.
that's all there is really, toilet with the sink.
Small bathroom
And a
toilet.
phone for 911 if necessary. So, toilet and the sink, and it'll come just outside of it, and there'll be a little ejector pump. So you're only guessing, 50 gallons, maybe 100 gallons a day.
Yeah.
That's gonna be generated.
This kiosk is not a store. We're not selling,
understand
yeah,
all
we're
that.
not
I
selling
know.
merchandise. It's just for the attendant to assist the customers.
Right.
If I have to use the bathroom, will I use it?
Bless you.
Probably for quarter.
We would probably send you up to the store to use
I
the
couldn't, what if I
bathroom.
can't make it?
Just so.
There's plenty of landscaping
It's
there.
gonna have to be really nice to get done.
Yeah, as a mean, I'm a senior.
Okay, I guess I'm going to start with my questions. Apropos of the town engineer's comment about the truck size, I would like the canopy to have a sign on there with a height restriction, so that those people that for some reason are not sure about the height, don't try to,
We typically will post on the canopy the clearance height, so that vehicles know what
And going back again to that conflict area that's actually in front of the store, that I know that you're not doing much to, but again, because of the increased traffic that's coming now for gas, where people might not go into the store, but they might circulate for gas and leave, it will increase the traffic. And I guess I'd like to see a speed bump in front of the store. And again, for pedestrian safety, that will slow vehicles down. So if somebody's trying to zigzag through the parking lot, it will drop the speed that they're going through. It should, anyway, unless they want to leave their front end.
You know, there is a speed bump, I think, in front of the main doors, Joe.
No,
There isn't?
nope.
Well, what we've
One further
done,
down.
I was
we
just
can,
there
we can
today.
address that. You know, what we've done is, before, we used to have a straight shot just like this. It used to be a little raceway. We jogged it and we're implementing a stop condition. So basically, it's even better than a speed bump. We're forcing the individuals to stop. Likewise, coming in this direction here, we're implementing a stop sign as well. So we're introducing a stop condition with a painted stripe and a physical sign.
But with all due respect, and I checked with police on this issue, because I've always wondered in these large shopping complexes like University Station, where there's a stop sign every store, in front of every store there, that can the local police stop you from running that stop sign? And the answer is no. They're only in there to police parking violations of the handicapped law, and that's it. So the stop sign issue is nice, but I think the word is out there that the stop signs, if there's a Stoughton policeman or a state trooper in there, that you're not going to get pulled over. I still would like to see the forced stop with the speed bumps.
I like that, that's a good idea.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Excellent.
Right, and I could work with maybe the engineering department to pick the best locations and things of that nature for that.
Yes, that's fine.
And those stop signs and stop lines don't show up on the plans?
Can you show those things?
Oh, they should. If not,
We
we
can
can show
add
that.
that.
I'm not seeing them in the
Yeah,
inside.
We'll make sure we have.
Okay, now the lighting that's being added to the complex, and I'm not suggesting that you relight the whole, because there are spots of it that you're not doing anything with. But anything that you're adding be LED, including the signage on the canopy.
Yes.
We'll confirm that. I believe all the proposed site lighting is LED. The canopy lighting is generally LED as well.
And then if you're improving the sign on the street as well, am I correct? You're adding the gas to the pylon sign on 139?
So we didn't put anything in front of the board with respect to that sign just yet. There's an ownership entity of that sign, there are other tenants on that sign, and until we have everyone in agreement with what it is we're trying to do, I think we have the right to just.
Well, I just suggest that, and I'm sure council would agree with me on this, that you ought to resolve it one-stop shopping. We ought to, by the time we come to a decision, I think that the sign, rather than have everybody come back and open the case and talk about one sign.
And so the answer is we're working on it.
Yeah, okay.
Making sure that we have our ducks in a row and then we can put it in front of you.
And again, the LED issue with that sign. We talked about the dumpster enclosure. I think the first time you were in is kind of a meet and greet. We talked about, in the concept of wayfinding, the most underutilized part of your site is the parking at and I would say the rear, the parallel 24.
Right, on the west side.
Behind the building?
And I think that I'd like to see some wayfinding that directs people their additional parking in the back, because it will alleviate some of this circling around in the front part of the building, and I know it's not going to prevent it, but I'd like to facilitate people saying, oh, I don't want to fight with everybody else, I'll just drive around. And so I'd like to see some wayfinding on the building, but I'm open to see what you're going to offer in that regard.
Joe, can I just,
Actually.
okay, so you guys understand, I was a little confused about
No,
what
we
you were
understand. We actually
asking
talked
for
about
there.
that with, might have been with the zoning board. Basically, this is like a very underutilized parking area,
Right.
and the field and the entrance gets kind of busy because everybody's jockeying for position over here. But if we have some sort of wayfinding signage to direct them, hey, additional parking
There's a like an
over
initial
here.
parking
Yeah.
sign, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And by the way, I don't know, I didn't check the lighting behind the building. That may be another impediment to people parking back there at night.
We'll take a look. I've, on some of our older buildings, I've noticed some of the wall packs, they get a little dim or a little, sort of that.
Yeah, they
gold,
milky,
orangey.
they get milky.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they don't,
easy.
right, and they get filthy. You know, what's interesting about this particular location and what we're proposing is, it kind of goes along the lines of, you know, the discussion of landscaping and the wayfinding signage is, you know, we've got a parking lot that could use some work. And what we're trying to do is roll a lot of these improvements into the development of the gas station. You know, the gas station on its own is a fairly sizable capital investment for us. It makes sense if we're going to invest that amount of money into a gas station for a store that's been there for, you know, north of 15 years, pushing 20 years. It's a good time to sort of, you know, do some general housekeeping and get to some of these other items as well.
Apropos my next set of comments. And,
The moment we've all been waiting for.
yes, on the landscaping plan, I do appreciate what you've done in addition to what's there today, but I think we still have a ways to go. And 3 maple trees on a site that's many acres is a little anemic. And I do thank you for the addition of the color species, because that helps us decide. We try to move to something that's bright and colorful and reflects upon the quality of your establishment. And I guess to that end, I would like to see those beds on that, the 24 side, in particular, where there's a lot of grass, it made bigger,
Okay.
a bigger well, with some, and some much more color, like, you know, I'm not looking for exotic species from the Far East, but something that has multiple colors. Because that is a little drab, and I'm happy that you redid that entry point, because all that's doing now is collecting carriages and refuse, unfortunately. And so I would like to see the reworking of the landscaping, even in the other beds, to enhance it with some more color. I know you're putting daylilies, but hence by their term, they bloom once, and that's the end of them, and you're looking at a sea of green. And again, we're not asking you to redesign the facade of your building, but the color will enhance the customer experience coming into that complex, and kind of set you apart from the other wholesale clubs as well. So I guess I'd be happy to work with you offline on the landscaping plan.
Give you my card?
I'm sorry?
Give you my card, if you wanna
What,
contact me?
Well, you can do that for the.
Yeah, I mean, what, as you know, what typically we have done at this stage on a lot of the projects is to, we obviously need to follow up with Craig from some of the items on his technical review memo, and once we have made some changes to the landscape plan, to probably try to schedule a meeting through Noreen.
Sure.
And we appreciate you making yourself available, Mr. Chairman, so we can sit down and review that landscape plan.
Mr. Smarko, something else?
Yes, you mentioned about, since you did your work and you're gonna be doing some remodeling, any chance of putting another entrance on this side of the building?
In the back of the building?
Side of the building on the left?
You mean an entrance into the store?
Yes, for the handicap.
Yeah, we're kind of stuck with the one entrance, unfortunately.
I think that.
I don't think we have one store.
Mr. Samarco, I was just gonna add to that, I think that we brought that was brought up to enhance the rear parking lot, and I think that the answer was that loss prevention
It's a
issues.
huge.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
We have the wrong people
I
at
did
the
remember
door.
that from
Yeah,
that, it's not a year
yeah.
or so ago, so.
So we're ultimately bound to having the one main entrance
Well,
for
you need-
customers. Our employees actually use an entrance at the rear adjacent to the loading, which is even a more secure entrance and exit.
And we talked about, I think we also talked about the car, the auto repair area, that, again, customers, I'm not encouraged to go, there's no other They have to go around to the main entrance.
Right. I do, like, you can go into the store, for instance, if you are purchasing tires, you can make your purchase in the store, but they will actually take the tires from the sales floor and slide them through a secure
Right.
little door into the tire bay. And then you just ultimately have to kind of make your way.
Yeah, we did discuss that, Mr. Samarco, at that initial meeting, so, yeah,
I have
unfortunately.
one more question.
Sure, go ahead.
How much is the gas gonna be for a member?
That's always.
Oh, a
always
member,
the big
so I wanna
question.
know in advance.
So, I can't tell you, I have no idea.
It depends on what
What I
OPEC
can say is
does.
you'll typically find a savings anywhere in the 15, 20, 25 cent range
That's a lot.
below the street price. The folks that manage ultimately the pricing and the operation of all the gas stations, they spend a lot of time, keeping tabs on the price of gas. And we're not bound to any distribution agreements, so it allows our buyers to go and find the cheapest gas they can. And, we build a lot of capacity in the tanks so that we can take advantage of price fluctuations. So, we do make a pretty significant commitment to try to, provide a decent discount on the gas.
I have another question while I'm on the roll. I'm involved with youth sports a lot, we do cup donations, cannon, whatever,
Yep.
Would you allow that up there?
I don't know that we discourage it, or I think as long as, I would suggest that anybody interested in trying to do something like that,
You have to go to the office.
go to the membership desk and ask for the store manager and see what ultimately the policy is on that.
Do you know what it is now?
I don't.
Could you
I
bring
can,
back?
I can ask that question.
Yeah, bring that information back, please.
I'm through at this point. Is there anything else that, Ms. Jardine, you okay?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everything to shake
Sure.
out.
Okay.
There's enough questions on the table.
Okay.
I think,
Sure. Right?
yeah, I don't think there was anything else we needed to add tonight.
And,
I think we knew we had some comments to address from Craig, and that the landscaping was something we were going to want to address.
So I think, Mr. Chairman, in this particular case, we were discussing this actually outside just before we came back in tonight in terms of anticipating the continuance. I think we're gonna need a little bit more time than just a 2-week period, so we would be asking to continue the public hearing, not to your May 10th meeting, but to your May 24th meeting, if that's agreeable.
We will be making a continuance with another project for 6:30. But I
We could go 7.
will put you in at 7
Yeah,
in case that
in case that
other
one
one
doesn't go
cancels.
forward, right?
okay.
Go, so I have May 24th at 7,
That would be perfect, thank you.
okay?
Do you think the other person will cancel?
I don't know if they're, just in case they're not ready.
Okay. Can I have a motion from the board to continue this public hearing?
Motion to continue the
May
public
24th
hearing,
at 7 o'clock?
May
7
whatever.
o'clock, 24th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'd like to bring this to the board's attention. This is actually under old business. Received an email from Eric Dias, engineer for Stoughton Point. Eric is requesting, on behalf of the applicant, we respectfully request a continuance to the next available public hearing of the planning board to allow us adequate time to finalize the design revisions we discussed previously. We anticipate having a complete revised package submitted to your office the first part of next week. And what I would ask the board, if they would consider continuing this particular project to May 24th at 6:30 PM for Pine
I
Hill,
make that a motion.
Pine Hills Estate.
Second.
Yes.
And,
Good night, everyone, thank you.
And,
Yep.
the
Thank
only,
you very much.
I would vote in favor of this, but I would like you to inform them that we want the homeowners agreement well in advance of that.
Yes.
They never come up with that yet.
That's correct. And that's probably gonna have to go out to council, so we need
Yes.
so can I have a motion to continue the Pine Hill project to May
Motion to
24th
continue
at
the Pine Hill
6:30?
project,
Yes.
please.
So moved.
6:30?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion adjourned.
I think that Mr. Samarco's motion is in order.
Second.
Wow.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On behalf of the Stoughton Planning Board, I'd like to wish everyone a good evening. Again, this is the April 26th meeting of the Stoughton Planning Board. We look forward to seeing you on May
10.
10th at 6:30. Thank you very much and good evening.